Welcome to the Embrace Strength podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Crocker. I am an experienced trainer and active life professional. I work with people who are struggling with nagging pain to get back to the activities they love without fear of re-injury. This podcast is here to educate and provide value to you on all things health, fitness, staying active, and personal development. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the pod. I also want to welcome any new listeners that I have. Last week I had 55 podcast downloads, which in a week is a lot. So if you are new around here, I'm glad that you are here and welcome. So what I am chatting about today is going to pertain to coaches because I just started the pre-sale for my movement library launch, and I've been super excited about the way things are going so far because 6 coaches reserved their copies last week. And I am so excited. And that has been really cool to see because this is honestly something that I've known is a need for about 2 years. Basically, as long as I have been mentoring coaches, I have realized wow, this is a big gap in the industry that people really need. And nobody had created anything quite like this. And so I basically decided that I was going to be the one that was going to create this resource for coaches. And here is basically the backstory of how this came to be. Is if you've been around here for a while, you know that I've been coaching for 11 years. And since 2021, late 2020, early 2021. Since then, I have niched into helping people who are dealing with injuries or major mobility issues. And so since that time period, at that time, I was doing nutrition coaching full time, but I was heading more in the direction of doing programming for people and helping this specific type of person. So I was moving in this new direction. And as I started doing more programming for clients, and as I was learning how to get people out of pain and all these things, I realized wow, it's kind of annoying to have to do all this research to find different variations of exercises. And if you're a coach, you know that there are hundreds of different types of exercises under an umbrella, right? There are a lot of different squatting variations. There are a lot of different hinge pattern variations. But when you're sitting down to program for a client, it can be kind of hard to be okay, what are my options here? What am I trying, what you're trying to do with the client, but it's okay, what option is going to be the best? And anyway, so I realized it would be really nice if I had one central place to go and be able to look at all my options instead of having to go through this process of okay, I know what I want this client's program to look like. Now let me go research what my exercise options are, okay? And then you spend some time researching, and then it's okay, now I have to find a good demo video that I like, because if you work remotely, you know exactly what I mean when it's okay, I need to find a good demo video. And then that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, is finding someone who's doing the exercise you want, not rushing through it, things like that. And then you have to type out all these cues for the clients to remember and what you want them to focus on. And it's just a bit of a process. So I experienced that personally in my coaching career. And then when I started to mentor coaches 2 years ago, a lot of them said the same thing. It was they needed help with exercise selection. And that is a big part of what I do with the coaches that I mentor, is I help them write better programming and help them choose exercises. And so anyways, when I decided to run my Programming Through Pain group program for coaches, I was like, okay, the movement library has to be a part of this program, because inside of that program, I walk the coaches through like step by step how to help someone in pain. And there's a whole module on exercise selection, or a whole week on exercise selection. And so I was like, okay, the movement library is happening for the group program and is going to be part of it. But then I had an idea to sell the movement library on its own as a special for Black Friday. Okay. And I knew that coaches were going to be all over it, and I was right. And it just makes me super happy, because I know that it is a really good resource for coaches that is needed, and you guys are going to get a lot of use out of it. So anyways, basically what the movement library is, it is a one-stop shop for having your exercise selection laid out, having a demo video there. And so basically it is a spreadsheet, okay, that is organized by movement pattern. So there's a tab for each movement pattern, okay? So squat, hinge, push, pull, carry, rotation, and then I have sections on core too. So that when you go into program for your client and you're like, okay, want to look at my squat pattern options, or I need to look at my pushing pattern options, you can click on that tab, and then your exercise options under that movement pattern are on that page, okay? And a caveat is I am not an encyclopedia, so there are probably exercises that are not like on each page, right? But I'm doing the best that I can. I am a human, and I know that I will make updates to this in the future, but there are a lot of options. So we have that section. And then we also have a section on corrective exercises and rehab. So for your clients who are dealing with pain, who are dealing with mobility issues, there is a specific tab for each like joint, basically. So like I have a low back pain, I have a knee pain, shoulder, wrist, elbow. There's an ankle, foot, and calf section. So basically the idea of the corrective exercise section is for you to know, like, okay, I have a client in low back pain. What are some things I can implement for them? Okay, I have a client who is dealing with some ankle and foot issues. What are my options there, right? So it is meant to be a resource where like you have an idea of like what you need going into it, and then you are able to see all your options laid out in front of you. It has the exercise, what equipment is involved, and then a link to the demo video. And the demo video also has voiceover cueing of what to think about when you're doing the exercise, so that when you are, assigning your program to the client, you don't have to write out as much like, here's what to think about when you're doing the exercise, right? So it should help you in that respect as well. And so basically, and I'm still wrapping it up in terms of like finalizing the creation of it, but in total, there are over 300 exercises in the movement library. So you definitely have a lot of options. And here are some reasons why coaches are already reserving their copy and raising their hand and saying like, yes, I definitely need this. If you are someone who needs a place to get quick answers when you're stuck programming for a client and you want it all organized and from someone that you trust. You and your clients have nagging injuries, and living a life where you can move without worrying about getting hurt again feels like freedom, right? So even if you don't have a lot of clients who are dealing, with pain or whatever, maybe it's you. Maybe you're the coach who is dealing with pain, and you program for yourself, and you want more movement options for yourself. This could also be helpful for you if that is you. And then again, if a lot of your clients have mobility issues and you need continued resources to pull from to support them. I made an Instagram post, or I've made a couple at this point, but one of them was specifically about like your client who's having knee pain and you've ran out of all 5 different squatting variations that you know of. Now what, right? Now, if you have a movement library, you can go in and see like, oh, here's like 50 squatting pattern options that I actually have, for my client. Oh, here are some corrective exercises for knee pain that I could explore and try out with this client, right? So that was the whole idea behind creating this resource. And during the pre-sale, so the pre-sale right now is going on until November 30th. And during pre-sale, it's $99, which is such a huge value for like what this resource actually is. It is worth way more than $99. I have put hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into its creation, okay? And when you reserve your copy, like you have it forever, okay? So you have it forever, and at least with this first round, you're definitely going to have access to future updates. So this means if I update it next year, you're going to just automatically get another copy of the updated version. So I think there's a lot of value in that as well, with having forever access, basically, including future updates. So $99 till November 30th, and on December 1st, it goes up to $144, which is still a really great value for what it is. But if you're somebody who knows that you want it and you need this, you might as well save some money, right? And I will be selling this for a few more weeks. But once this launch is over, then it's like going back in my vault, and I'm not going to be selling the Movement Library again on its own until mid-2025. So all the more reason to snag your copy while you can, because it's not going to be something that I sell year round. I'm going to pull it out at different points of the year. So anyways, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this episode, is basically chatting about the Movement Library, why I'm making it, who it's for, what it is, and things like that. Oh, I think something I did not clarify was that it officially releases on December 6th. So if you reserve your copy during the pre-sale, you will be sent your copy of the Movement Library on December 6th. Okay. And then if you are to get this in the regular part of the launch after December 6th, then once you get it, the Movement Library will be sent to you. Okay. But yeah. So if you are listening to this and you are like, oh my gosh, I want one, I will put a link in the description to grab your copy. I'll also put a link in the description to the landing page if you want to like visually see what are all the details, things like that. I'll also link in my bio my Instagram if you want to DM me. But yeah, so that's basically it for this episode. I will talk to you soon.